Hey, what's up guys, it's Kes, and welcome to the most insightful video ever created in the history of mankind. I know what you're thinking, what am I on about? Well, in today's video, I'll be going over my first month in Genshin Impact, and how it's made me feel as a new player in this 4-year-old game. I'll mainly be going over 6 points of discussion, being story, community, exploration, progression, the gacha system as a whole, and accessibility. This is obviously my first gacha game, so going into it I didn't really know what to expect. So if any of my points are like quite wrong or could potentially be misled by some different thought or something, I am sorry. Obviously I'm still new to this game, I have a lot of hours in it to be fair, but I've only played for a month. So yeah, just let me know if anything's wrong or if I just haven't experienced something in the correct manner. So I'll just go straight into it, starting with story. Hey guys, before the video starts, I just wanted to tell you that I've recently partnered with Dubby Energy, a top-notch gamer supplement brand designated to provide natural, clean energy with no artificial colouring, no sugar, and 0 calories. It gives you the boost you need for gaming without the side effects such as crashing, shakes, or anxiety. Check out the link in the description for 10% off, or use code KES at checkout to help support me too. But yeah, let's get back to the video. The story of Genshin Impact is basically, like, as everyone would know, it's basically about this traveller who comes from a different world, and then as they try to leave or something, a god comes down, swooshes them away, you know. They wake up, oh, it's been hundreds of years, ooh. Very exciting times. I'm not here to cover just the actual basics of the story. I'm mainly going to cover the Archon quests, because I think that is just the best story I've had in years. Like, I came from like Destiny 2, I've obviously played all the Call of Duty stories, you know, Pokemon. I've played like that type of story, so I've never played like Elden Ring or anything super story immerse. I think the Archon quests set out are just so progressive, at like keeping the correct pace at all times, and everything you encounter is just fun. Especially in Mondstadt and Liyue. In Azuma, it kind of fell off in my opinion. It got a bit slow around, like, after you versed the Shogun. That bit afterway, like the training arc, I didn't really enjoy that, to be honest. But aside that one small query, I think the stories have been set up perfectly. To start with Mondstadt, obviously it's about Venti, it's about the dragon person, what's his name, Storm Terror. And you're just going out, you're kind of learning the basics while within the story, meeting Amber, Jean, Diluc, you know, Kaya, all of these different people. I think it's a great start, but I wouldn't say it's like meant to be part of the main quest. Don't get me wrong, Venti is super cool and I'm excited to play story quests, but I just think comparing the Mondstadt story, like especially the Archon story, to like Liyue, or even Sumeru, which by the way, Sumeru, oh my god, that is such good storytelling. Like, Nahida is carrying Genshin on her massive shoulders right now. But yeah, anyway. Comparing like Venti's quest to that of Zhongli's, who I just think was executed way better with the Fatui child coming in, meeting Signora again, it's just, I think it really put a lot of insinuation that Gnosises hold power, and the fact that by the end we realized Zhongli just gave it away for free, and then same in Inazuma, like Yaemiko just gave it away for free. I don't really understand those points, but yeah, I think these stories so far are progressing at an amazing rate, and I'm very excited to go into Fontaine, as I've heard that what's her name, Farina and like Nouvellette have such good lore and such good backstory that I'm honestly really excited. But yeah, I guess I'll just skip Inazuma, go straight to Sumeru. Sumeru's Archon quest is by far the best I've played so far. That whole time loop thing, oh my god, bro, I wish I was streaming that. I was just like glazing it the whole time, I'm not gonna lie. Just the fact that we keep having to go back and keep doing the same things, it would seem repetitive, but it just wasn't. Because each time there was like a small factor which let us like unwind it ourselves until we actually figured it out, like as the player for ourselves. So I just think that main Archon quest was just amazing. But I know the Archon quests, I'll just go straight to side quests next. Side quests, they're very 50-50 for me. The character story quests, I think, are executed super well. I like learning about the characters. I think giving them like the spotlight, especially the side characters who you don't really see a lot of, like who's my favorite? Ooh, like Kokomi. I just done Kokomi's story quest, and you might see a little bit as I talk about it here, but Kokomi's story quest was actually super interesting. And in the main story, you didn't really see her much. Like, you knew she was the revolutionary leader, but aside that, you didn't really learn about who she was as a person, and like why she's in this position of power. And I just think the story quests really delve into the lore side without going too far in that it feels like it's just taking complete focus off the traveler and off like your journey as a whole. However, the reason I said it's 50-50 before is because side quests, most of them are absolute dog, bro. I'm not gonna lie. The no voiceover ones where like it's just text, oh, it's so dead. Like, I don't enjoy doing those at all. I'm skipping through them every second of every like little dialogue section. I only go into those side quests for the primo gems, to be honest, which I presume most people do, as I haven't been seeing too positive a reception on them, because people keep comparing them to like light novels, but I don't know, it's just, personally, I don't enjoy that side of the side quests. But as a whole, if I was to rate the story, like including side quests, main quests, character quests or character stories or story quests, whatever they're called, I'd probably rate it around 7 out of 10 so far, with Mondstadt acting more as like a big tutorial type main quest, Liyue really carrying, and then Inazuma's obviously came down a bit, it felt really slow, played out, didn't really enjoy it beside the end. And then Sumeru again following Liyue, being super solid. But yeah, I'd definitely rate this. Actually no, I'll go 7.5 out of 10. Nah, I'll go 8 out of 10 with high expectations for Fontaine. Fontaine has to carry the story, or I think it's going to really start dropping off. Oh, you never know actually, Natlan could be good. I can't be dissing Natlan yet. And next up on my script of goodies is the community. There's not really much to say, as obviously I've only been here for a month, so I'm not going to know the exact laws of like, I don't know, Toe Toucher 123 or whatever his name is. But from what I've saw so far, including the co-op and gameplay fan base, it's definitely very international. Like, I've had maybe a few co-op experiences when I've actually been able to talk to other people, well, text in-game, and like understand their opinions on what we're doing, or even like they can explain who's good, who's bad, you know, if like I ask a question. I feel like most of the time I'm not really paired with English speaking people, which I'm fine with. I'm not going to complain. It's just, if I was to go into co-op, I'd kind of want to just talk to people instead of getting just help. At the minute it feels like I'll just do it for the help. They have basically a carry because I can't do it. And I'd much rather have a co-op experience where I can talk to someone, text with people, you know, and actually like interact with other humans on Genshin. Which obviously, if you go into the main fan base outside of Genshin with like the HoYoLab app, you can have, obviously, they're all on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, that type of community. Very helpful. Even online, if you go to like Reddit or like Genshin.gg, all these build sites, all these YouTubers helping you, like explaining stuff you don't understand. Even the guides for like quests, because I find some quests are just super hard and don't really get explained. So without YouTube, I would be completely done. I would literally just sit there for like 4 days just trying to figure out this basic mechanic. So I think the community, when it comes to actually helping people outside of Genshin with like YouTube videos, TikTok showing you how to get free primo gems, free codes, the community is really up there. Obviously on my own videos, I haven't had a single hate comment like at all, which is kind of worrying. Like, why is no one hating on me? I'm kind of like waiting for my first hater, but you know, if that's you, please come and hate on me. I will welcome your horrible arms with a delight. But everyone is so nice. I've had so many people explaining different builds I could do, different characters I could pull for. I even had one guy going over like if I need Yelan, if I need Nilo, you know. It's so much help across all the social media. It's so interactive. But yeah, I think the community outside of the point I mentioned before, with co-op being very international and not really linked to people of your, I guess, language. The community is really nice. I'd rate it maybe 8.5, but in-game I would love to actually interact with people. Obviously, if I was streaming, I guess, which is a implementation I could make on my part, I could get some of the viewers in, help with that way. Like I've saw Anthony Chen doing that a bit, and like account reviews, especially done by like Doro or Ziox. So I could definitely start doing that in the future, but as of right now, I'm mainly just on like content based outside of live streams, so I don't really go live much or at all. So yeah, I could definitely make it better for myself, but that one main feature, I really want to interact with people in game. I think it would just open up Genshin so much. So yeah, 8.5 for community. There's not really much else to say on it, so I'll just go straight on to exploration. Exploration. Don't mind that, I was just stretching. But exploration is arguably one of the most important things for a single player game. It's even some of the driving points for the newer ones like Red Dead 2 or GTA 6, which is obviously coming out. They're the only games I can actually list right now because, well, let's be honest, I can't think off the top of the head that well. But exploration wise, I think it's super well done with the statues and the teleports, you know, the bosses. I feel like everywhere, like every section on the map, like every square, if you squared it, I guess, has something of relevance inside. There's no wasted space. There's not just like an area where there's literally nothing for you to do there. There's nothing for you to collect. There's nothing just there, you know? I think a prime example for this is Dragonspine. Dragonspine, although I absolutely hate that section, I'm dreading the day I have to go back, collect all the blood things and get the shrine, and God, even thinking about it, bro, it makes us feel dizzy. But I think Dragonspine is a perfect representation of Genshin's exploration. It's this brand new area, nothing like anything on the map of current, with this giant snowy mountain. It looks bland once you get there, but it looks relevant. And then obviously as you progress through all the quests, you go inside, you make that little pillar thing fly up, you do a bunch of other stuff, you can collect the things, go to the tree, you can light up all the waypoints, you can... Actually, there is a few mob spawns there, which are actually quite nice. What else is there? There's even like warming things you can use to interact with, which like help you keep that frost buff, or frost debuff I guess it's called, away from you. I just think it's really well done. It's kind of hard to word because I haven't been there in a while, but I think the underground sections as well, especially, I forgot the exact names of them, but obviously Inazuma has that one, Liyue has the cavern. I don't think Mondstadt has an underground section, unless you count like that dragon lair thing as it, but Sumeru obviously has the desert, which you can go underground for the pyramids, so I kind of want to count that. And then obviously, actually, let's just skip straight to Sumeru here. The rainforest going into the desert, oh, I think that's so good. I like, the thing about Liyue, there wasn't enough trees for me. It didn't feel as adventurous as I think it should have. So going from Liyue to Sumeru is just, it's so good. Because you enter this like rainforest, kind of like Mondstadt looking place, and then if you go to the right you have this like giant trees, they're all mossy, it looks very like literal Brazilian rainforest type theme, with all these like exotic colours and bugs and enemies going around floating, the flowers, the coral, it all just flows so well together. And then if you go to the left, or carry on I guess, you enter the desert, which is this huge area with like huge quests, like tons of quests, and literally I think there's like what, 5-6 pyramids which lead into this floating island eventually. So it's all just so good, man. I haven't saw this personally, but I know there's like a giant statue or like a giant robot thing you can enter and start driving as one of the quests. So I'm quite excited to run through that. Obviously I can't say much as, well, I haven't actually played through it yet. But yeah, I think that's like a good base explanation for the exploration of Tevat, which is obviously the mapping engine. But the main issue I have with it as a whole is the FPS issues. The game's been out for 4 years and I'm still stuck at running 60 FPS. It's like I have a PC powerful enough to run 240 easily, and yet I have to use 60. Like I get Genshin's also on like what, PS4, PS5, mobile especially, but I still think PC should have an option to go from 60 to like 120, 180, 240, and just higher and higher. Because Genshin looks so good, even in 60 FPS, that it's just being wasted. You can't like, and actually, there is blockers you can get where you can go higher than that, but they're all not really like trusted fully. Like I've been looking at some and all the comments are a bit, sketch, like, is it safe, is it not? So I don't really want to run those. But plus, I shouldn't have to run a third-party program just to get FPS from console to PC level. Like, Hoyo is easily $1 million company now, so they can easily just turn 60 FPS and get rid of the cap lock, basically. But yeah, I think that's my main issue with the exploration, that it doesn't look as good as it definitely could in the future with just a simple change. But aside that, to go on a more positive note actually, the region cultures. I think that is one of the best places that region is actually represented in the manner it's supposed to be represented in. Like obviously you start off in Mondstadt, which by a bit of research I learned was supposed to be German, which I can kind of see that. Venti looks a bit German with his hair. Obviously not the blue, but yeah. So you start off in this like German themed thing with all the high castles, very European looking. It's kind of like a mix of like the UK with that historic UK, not like modern, not like London obviously, but the historic European culture, I guess. It really gives that theme with all the trees, all the nature around, but also with the castles, the domains, which are obviously in the mountains. And I think it does lose it a bit at Dragon's Lair, which is expected. Europe obviously doesn't have dragons flying around. It would be cool if it did, but we don't. So I think it does lose it there, but as an overall theme of historic European kind of, I think it does it really well. Not as well as the next two I'm going to mention, but it's kind of hard to beat Leeway, which obviously goes under the Chinese theme, which I think, at first I thought it was Japanese because, well, I'm just uncultured apparently, but no, it's Chinese, and it is absolutely amazing. Like, I don't often glaze appearance that often, well, relatively. But the Chinese theme it has, my bad guys, I just apologize, give me a second. Alright, where was I? The Chinese theme it has is just so elegant, and the colours blend so well. It's got that red, orange, yellow, it's always got lights on it. The ships especially, like that ship far left of Leeway City or whatever it's called, it looks so good, and it doesn't look out of place even though it's in the middle of nowhere, which it takes a lot of talent to do. And obviously the Jade Palace, as you go up there, it definitely gives you that royalty look, and you just expect to see more like lanterns. And also Hu Tao's from there, so I'm just going to mention that because we all know I love Hu Tao. We had the lanterns and the lights, and even the vendors, man, like the little vendor stores. When I first entered, I saw myself going around every single one, just seeing what they've done, having a look at the actual aesthetic of this, which I think was done so well. I especially like how there's like bridges, and the port is sectioned out into like 3 areas, which obviously you start up on the right side, I think you come in from, and there's like that gate, it goes straight into the main city, and then if you keep going forward, you can obviously cross that bridge, and then get to the vendor area where like the crafting stuff is, Catherine is, that type of stuff. But yeah, I think the Chinese theme is definitely the best theme I've saw so far. And then obviously Inazuma was next, which is the Japanese theme with that samurai, the ancient samurai themes. But it also has that like lightning theme, which I don't know how it relates. I guess there's gods who in Japan who like control lightning or something, right? I don't want to use like anime knowledge, but obviously there's like Susanoo. That's the only one I can name right now. Anyway, yeah, so Inazuma's got this real Japanese traditional theme, and then it links to all the different islands. I think the main theme is on, obviously, Yaimiko's island, especially, and then it goes along, you go to the Shogunate's house, and it just flows so well, similar to Leeway. But I think what really differentiates Inazuma to Leeway is just how many islands Inazuma actually has. There's like, what, 4, 5 islands? And each of them feel special in their own way. Like, obviously, actually, there is one I hate. That storm one where the storm's coming down all the time. Like, oh my god, bro. Every time I step on that island, I just fast travel away. I am never going on that island willingly. But aside that one island, you obviously have Kokomi's island, which I think is represented very well. It really goes into her aesthetic, her overall character story. And I just love how it, like, she's got that big coral thing. And obviously she has the underground section as well. So you can go underneath her giant flower and... that sounds a bit weird. But yeah, you can go into the underground section, which is also huge. I need to explain. I need to explore that a bit more, as I currently haven't really explored it to the best of my ability, but you know, I'll do it eventually. And then you have the Mist Island, which I think is super, like, kind of scary, to be honest. Like, I wasn't sitting there shivering me timbers, obviously, but trying to enter and, like, look around, it was super hard to actually locate stuff. I had to use guides, like, half the time to just locate the opening quest. But, yeah, I definitely think that it's one more. What's the other one called? Let me search this up real quick. Oh my god, guys, I'm actually dying. I ate, like, this pack of Sensations before, which, if you don't know, are like chili crisps, or chips if you're in America. And literally, it's burning my throat still. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Alright, I found the map. So... I can't remember the name of it, but obviously you have Kokomi's Island, you have the storm one in the middle, which was where, like, the whole restoration stuff was from. Wait, not restoration. What's it called? It's like where the main battles were between, like, Kokomi's army and the Shogun's army. And then you have the one below that, which is like the giant boss area with that storm thing in the middle. I don't quite remember that. I might have not explored it fully. That would explain. But, oh no, I've got the name here. Amakumo Peak, I think it's called. But yeah, that was super cool how you could, like, go on the different platforms. You can go to the top and then you can fight the boss, keep going up. I think there was a few Electro-Eye up there as well, which were a pain to get, but I got them. But yeah, this whole traditional theme it has, I think, just goes so well and just flows from one island to another while still differentiating all the different islands. Which, honestly, it's quite hard to do, to be fair. Like, if you think about the traditional historic side, which is obviously the first island you go to, and then it has to flow from that historic samurai tribe theme to Kokomi's Island, which is very fiction, very, like, coral-based, very watery, very, you know, flowers and positivity, kind of, I guess you could call it. Oh, I just saw an ad of Inazuma 11 here. That's nice. That's a good anime, by the way. Good football anime. But yeah. So I think, is that all my points for exploration? Yeah, pretty much. I don't know what Sumeru is yet, as I haven't finished the story, so I haven't really looked into it. But if I had to guess, I'd probably say it's maybe like Middle Eastern for the desert. Well, obviously like Egyptian, Middle Eastern kind of. And then it flows into like this Brazilian rainforest, very South American type. So I think there's could be potentially two regions there. But I could just be looking into that way too much. But yeah, what I'm going to do now is clear my throat before I absolutely die, if you can't tell my voice. And then I'll go on to progression. Also guys, I would just like to say I'm sorry if I'm like stuttering a lot or kind of like losing myself. It's my first time ever using a script to actually talk about something passionate about. It's just... So yeah, I'm just really sorry if I do stutter. It's obviously, I'm new to this, so just bear with me. But yeah, progression. I have 3 points I want to talk about for progression, which is characters, artifacts, and resin. I think progression-wise, characters are definitely very important. Elemental, like, interactions, I guess I can call them, always rely on different characters, and I think Genshin need to open a more friendly way to actually get these interactions. Because you start off with, like, really bad, aside Zhangling, I'd say everyone you get to start with is really bad. I guess Barbara's alright for like a very mid healer, but even then, you can't really do interactions with Zhangling or Barbara, at least to my current knowledge. So I think what they need to do is kind of like replace Collei and maybe add a new, they need to add a new character to the base roster. Maybe like it's a side quest you get after finishing the main story, and then replace Kole with someone who can actually interact with them quite well. So obviously I think a nice Hydra would be better, because Barbara just isn't it for Hydra interaction. And then I do like how they've introduced Bloom for Traveler. I think, is it called Bloom? No, that's the interaction, right? Dendro, that's the one. Dendro Traveler is absolutely insane. Like, I think that excludes them, kind of. Like, by them I mean Hoyo, obviously. I think Dendro Traveler was amazing. I use it to this day, every single day. So I think we need a character who could actually interact with that to a good extent. Because Lisa doesn't interact with it. Kaya doesn't interact with it. Zhangling does, but her burst is just so slow, you can't really keep up with it. And then Kole, I guess Kole is good, but when you have Dendro Traveler, which by the time you get Kole, you probably be at that like Sumeru level, or like just before Sumeru, maybe like mid Inazuma. So I don't think we need Kole. I would much rather have a good Pyro unit, or, well, obviously Pyro would give Burgeon, or we could have like a good Hydro unit to actually help Traveler increase the Bloom effect. We could have a good Electro unit, like maybe getting Fischl for free. Fischl isn't exactly the best Hyper Bloom, but I think she's good enough that it's helped me understand the current elemental interactions they have, while also not giving me the best Hyper Bloom Electric person, which I believe to be Cookie, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they just need to actually, like, obviously this tutorial, don't get me wrong, the tutorial is solid. It helped me actually learn all of them. It helped me learn how to cause the interactions. But I think we need more characters at a start level to actually help us get there. Like maybe even in the beginner banner, I think instead of giving Noelle as the beginner one who has literally 0 interactions pretty much, aside the shield and the shards you can pick up, I guess, which Geo is dead, I'm not gonna lie. Aside Zhongli, no one uses, actually, and Shiori, no one uses Geo. So maybe replace Noelle with like Jingchu, is that his name? The little water sword guy, I forgot his name, but he would be good. Fischl, obviously, just replace it with someone who has meaning to these future elemental interactions we will all be using eventually. But yeah, enough with characters. I guess artifacts is next. Artifacts, this is also going to kind of come under the gacha system later, sorry. But artifacts, they're really fun to farm, don't get me wrong. The resin restriction on artifacts is absolutely outrageous. Like obviously, you don't really unlock artifacts until AR45, which in my opinion is stupid. I think you should get a guaranteed legendary one from like maybe AR30 onwards, as by the time you're there, you're getting to the level that you're going to start collecting 4-star artifacts. You're going to start using sets. You're going to start actually looking for good substats. You're not at a point, like at AR45, you're at a point where it's so late in the game that you already have a full set. So doing this will just be replacing your current set instead of getting your first best set. I just think, like with the characters, building your first team is a really memorable thing. It's like that's your first team and you put effort into getting that. But your artifacts, by the time you put effort into getting your 5-star set, you'll already have a good 4-star set, or at least I did. I had like 3 really good 4-star sets that even like to current, my 5-star sets don't even compare to. Because obviously I have to keep leveling them. Or once I level them, it will be far better obviously, but I'm just saying, there should be more clarification on when you can get 5-star artifacts, when you should start building a set, and when you should start actually looking online for artifact sets and different types of leveling you could do to unlock them. Obviously Genshin has the training thing, which I'll put a screenshot on screen of it. It's like this little enhancing where it tells you the characters and what you can do to upgrade them. But it's very mediocre. Like, I think for the weapons, it says like usage rate, and some of the worst weapons for the characters, which only increase damage when you're like a healer, for instance, it would say to use that instead. Like, in my opinion, Amber is probably the best thing you can use on Barbara, but it doesn't even tell you to use Amber, which, it's just, if I didn't have YouTube, I would be lost for weapons, artifacts, and characters. I just wouldn't know how to build them. There's no clarification by Genshin, especially for newer players of this level. Like, I'm 4 years into the game, well, not 4 years into the game, I'm starting a game 4 years into it. So, everyone has already learnt the tutorials aside me, so it makes me feel kind of left out of it, which I definitely think they have to improve on in the future, 100%. Resin, just like I mentioned before, there was a resin upgrade just before I started playing, going from 180 to 200, which that was nice, you know. I'm sure everyone loves that. But 200 a day is still nothing. Especially for a player like me who's trying to level up their characters, trying to level up their weapons, very new to the game. Like, I need resin. I'm using it, I'm not just using it for like domains or artifact farms. I'm using it for literally everything from like character leveling to Mora to what else do I use it for? Like boss drops, weekly bosses, you know, all this stuff I use. And it takes me like an hour to use it all. And then for the next 6 hours, I have to only play through quests because I generally don't have any resin to level up my characters. So I have to use an underpowered team because I don't want to spend money on getting resin. Which, saying that, brings me to my next point, which is the gacha system. Obviously, a gacha is, or at least to my knowledge, is a free game where you can use free-to-play methods or just full-on whale and buy everything. Although there is free-to-play methods, it's very time-inducive. Like, if you're a free-to-play player, you better be saving for 3 to 4 months of your primo gems prior and get to around 60,000 primos for a character you want, which is only one character. Like, let's say you were waiting for Yelan, right? And you've been saving since the Clarend banner. That's like what, 2-3 patches now? Just so you can buy Yelan, which I think is stupid, as personally as a new player I've just bought 2 Balkans. So it only takes me maybe 3 weeks to save up for a 50-50, which isn't too bad, I guess. But again, I'm putting in 10 to 14 hours a day for Genshin and making content on it, you know? The average person wouldn't be doing that. Let's say you played Genshin for 6 hours a day, it would probably take you, with Welkins, around, what, a month maybe? Just to get one chance at a 50-50. And if you lose that 50-50, that's a month of saving just gone, you know? So I think a few ways I could actually improve this is obviously increasing the resin cap. I also think adding more ways to get resin would be good, with adding like more condensed resin as a cap, maybe going from 5 to 10. I also think resin-wise, you should get more of those fragile resin, as they were super helpful. And I did get a lot, I got like, what, 60 so far? But that's because I'm a new player. After maybe a few more AR levels up, I won't be getting resin that often. Especially condensed and fragile, as I just won't have enough resin to condense. So I just think that factor is super bad, and they have to increase the resin cap to maybe, I'm not even saying like 1,000, maybe just, let's say 400, completely double it. That would solve most people's issues, as it would let you get the correct amount of boss drops you need to level a character up from base to like max, which I think you should be able to do. I think if you save your resin purposely for a character you love, you should be able to in one day just go straight from 0 to 90. I think that's a really important factor, and you need a lot of boss drops, so it's not really too hard to ask for. But I know boss drops do scale higher as you unlock more AR ranks, so maybe I'm just looking too like low at this, because obviously I'm not max AR yet. I think I'm AR 45 and stacking 50 right now, so I could be just completely wrong here, so ignore this if I am, but 3 to 4 boss drops per thing just isn't great, especially for 40 resin. It's like 10 resin per boss drop, maybe even 15 if you only get like 2 or 3. So with that scaling, it's ridiculous, man. They definitely need to increase resin somehow, or just, I don't even know, just do something about resin. But then obviously we have banners. Banners are amazing, I think. I think they're super interactive. I think it's nice being able to stack pity, knowing when you're going to get a character. And although the 50-50s do suck, I've made a few good reels that they're funny, they're joking. No one really gets super upset and angry if they lose, because either way you get a 5-star character with a constellation. Constellations actually change characters completely. Like if I pulled like Tainari or Jean, even if I already had them, I would be really happy with that. Like, I currently have Mona. If I pulled another Mona, yes, I'd be sad I didn't get like Yelan, for instance, or Navia or Nilu. I'm still getting a upgrade for my character for arguably free, as all I buy is like a Welkin once a month at the minute. So either way, it's not that bad. Obviously you have the standard banners as well, and the weapon banners, which I think that's where it kind of dies off. Intertwined, I think it'll set out really well, but weapons, I personally will never pull on a weapon banner unless I'm purposely buying. I would never like save up for the weapon banner. I guess maybe if it was Staff of Homer, but even then, I would already need to have C1 Hu Tao for me to even consider saving up for Homer. It makes no sense otherwise. As a free-to-play player, you want more characters. You don't want to just save for months, potentially even 3-4 months, just to get like an R1, R5 weapon. It's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. There should be events which you can participate in. Let's say you log in every day for 30 days. You have a then 20% or 10% chance to pull a 5-star weapon or 5-star character or something. Just more things to make people log on daily, which isn't resin and isn't gambling based. Because let's say you log on 30 days straight, you have that 10% chance at the end of the month. If you don't pull the 5-star you've wanted or want to pull, you still get a 5-star for free for playing for 30 days. I don't think that's a big ask, because there's like how many 5-stars? Like what, 20? Let's say there's 25 stars. There's probably more, there's probably less, I don't know. But if there's 25 stars and you play for 30 days straight, put in the hours, put in the, login or whatever it's called, you then get to either get the 5-star you want, which is only C0, so it's not exactly a game-breaking mechanic. But that gives you 12 5-stars for free, or a potential chance, I guess it would be, of 12 5-stars for free every year. I wouldn't say that's game-breaking, I wouldn't say that's super busted, and I wouldn't even say that makes Genshin lose money, because with a 10% chance, you're only going to really get maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 5-stars a year maximum. So it's not that bad, especially if you still have a good reward if you don't get the 5-star. Like for instance, if you don't, you get 10 wishes. I still think that would be really good, because it would help you with saving, it would help free-to-play players, and it would help people who spend money, because they'd be like, wow, this game really cares about me. Let's actually buy this because, it's a trusted source. And I'm not saying Genshin isn't trusted, but the way they go around with wishes and how skeptical they are, it's not too great. I'm not really excited for the day that I'm done with the Archon quests and have no real fast way to get wishes. It sounds really boring, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, obviously before mentioned the 50/50s, the Welkins, the in-game currency, the resin caps. And lastly, I'd just like to cover the accessibility of the game. It's very free to play, there's always subtitles, it's always like, how should I say this? There's always a step of learning to it, but with an actual intellectual intent behind it. So you're not just playing and learning nothing, you're not using your brain, you're not just sitting there completely shut off, just going through the game. There's even in like the side quests, there's always a learning curve. There's always a quest you could go on YouTube for and search for help. It's never just an easy game, which some people might disagree with me. I quite like that factor. I don't like sitting here for just hours, going through content for rewards with zero challenge. I just think that sounds boring. I just don't think there's any intent behind it, and I think on a content level, it's bad content. So I think that's where Genshin really stands off from the competition. Just the learning curve behind everything Genshin has is huge. Even from starting off to learning about artifacts, learning about characters, learning about resin caps, learning about what to spend your resin on, how to save resin, how to save primo gems, where to get primo gems, challenges, puzzles, story quests, how to complete them, how to get the different paths, how pity works, how the weapon banner works, how the standard banner and beginner banner works. Like, I've only listed like a few things, and that's all a learning curve Genshin has. Some people may not like that at all, but I think as someone who plays on PC, someone who obviously likes making content, this is a really good feature for me. Having this learning curve will always give me curiosity as to why I should keep playing Genshin. Otherwise, I'll just be sitting here with zero reason to make content on the game because I'm not finding it challenging, I'm not finding it interactive, and it's just overall, it's kind of a joke. I have heard some people say that Spiral Abyss isn't too hard, and I haven't talked about Spiral Abyss too much in this, as personally, I've done one Spiral Abyss video and haven't touched it since. So I will be doing another video on that, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. So it's why I didn't cover it too much, but Spiral Abyss is the end game of Genshin pretty much. Same with the theater thing which opened up, with again, I haven't played too much. But yeah, those two, I guess I can only say what I've heard, and apparently it's super easy once you have good teams. Like, it's not even challenging. Aside on some weeks anyway. Some weeks it can be super hard, it can be very shieldy, it can be very boring, but for the majority of Spiral Abysses, all I've heard is how easy it is, and there's teams which can absolutely destroy Spiral Abyss, even using like 1-star weapons. So I think the endgame definitely has to be improved a bit for those very hardcore endgame players. Obviously, I'm not there yet, I can't really comment on it, I can't really say my opinion, as I have no opinion on it right now. But as I progress through the game, maybe when I do my 2-month or 3-month Genshin video, I can cover that a bit more, say, even come back to this and say what I was wrong, see any issues I had with it, you know? Because I've kind of just rambled on a lot here, and I am sorry about that. Obviously, like I said before, it's my first time ever reading a script, so a lot of this is either completely new to me, or stuff I've wrote down in preparation for like this video. So I am sorry if I've stuttered a lot, or if I've not been clear. So I will learn, but obviously that's a content side, that's not a Genshin side. But I think progression, gacha, and accessibility would be all rated around 7 out of 10. I don't think it's higher than 7 at the minute for me currently. As I progress through the game, it could change, yeah, sure. But that's definitely where I stand currently. Overall, I'd rate Genshin an 8 out of 10 right now. I'm just at the end of Summeru, I have tons of quests to do, I have tons of character stories. It's not really fair for me to give a final opinion on Genshin, as I haven't played the game fully. I'm like maybe 30%, 40% into the game. So, but I think it is nice to say it's an 8 out of 10. I can defend an 8 out of 10 Genshin. Going higher than that, like, I just don't think it's up to like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 level yet. Natlan could change a lot. Natlan could literally make it go from an 8 out of 10 to a 9.5 even. Who knows? But like I said before, that will have to be in the next video, as in the next month video. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. This obviously was my first script, so I'm so sorry it came out like actually sounded like I don't know how to speak English. Believe it or not, I did take English in college, so that just says everything you need to know about me. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.